What's happening, everybody? Amp Capo here, Black Adonis Games. Um, I know y'all be hearing the noises in the background, like the hum. Man, that's fans, and that's AC. I live in a very hot climate. I live in a desert, so that's what it is out here. Anyway, what I'm gonna be doing today, I refer to it as blueprint sentencing. This is my own little words that I just made up. It may be referred to as something else, but that's what I call it. So that's what we're gonna call it today. And what I mean by it is that when you're writing in C++ or blueprints or any other format that has to do with programming, you're always writing in a language that's a sentence. Most people have a very difficult time understanding blueprints and C++ because they don't see the sentencing process in it. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate to you what I call blueprint sentencing and how I learned how to do this very fast and very easy and quick. So I'm going to go to this. This is to make the character slide, okay? So this will make the character run and do a slide. It's not connected right now. This would literally just be connected to the same thing as you would see here. Well, not here, but you would just connect this to a button press. So literally this, I could say, hey, gamepad, and then I could pick which button I want for the gamepad. So I could say face button right or whatever it is. And I press face button right, and then it's going to make this happen. So that's for if you're brand new. I just wanted to let you know that input actually goes here. I'm just not using this right now. So all right, so I'm going to delete this for confusion as well. I don't need that. So basically you're going to press the button. When you press the button, what's going to happen is it's going to come down to this branch. So now we're reading from this way. I press the button, boom. Now the signal is going through this line. It's going to hit this first. So now this is a condition, which means we got to check for this before we can even check true or false. So don't even think about true or false right now. And I'm going to open this up bigger here. Don't even think about true and false right now. All we care about right now is what's going on here. So basically what's going on here is it says the character's movement, which that is the movement of your character, which is here. So if you take this character movement, we're talking about the velocity. So that's the movement of the character, what direction the character is moving in. And then we going to grab this. This is the vector length. So this is the length of the movement that you're doing with your controller, however you're controlling your character with keyboard or with your gamepad or however. Now it's saying here that if that movement is greater than 80, so if that vector length is greater than 80, so it doesn't have to be 100, but just 80, and the character movement again down here, because it has an and, so this has to be true and this has to be true as well. So and is not falling, because it says is falling, so the character movement here again once again goes to your character's movement. So is your character in the air falling? So if your character is not falling and the movement is greater than 80, then we're going to move on. Now we can go here and check these, and it says if it's true, we're going to do this. If it's false, we're just not going to do anything. So if you press the button and this condition is not met, we're just not going to do anything. But if it's true, then we're going to do this once, just once. And so what we're going to do here says is we're going to take the capsule component, which is this capsule component of your character. If this is true, we're going to do this once. We're going to check this. We're going to change the half height of your capsule. So if you come over here and look, this is your half height of your capsule. So go here, it says capsule half height. So what we're doing is we're chopping it down, because when you slide, your character has to drop down to the ground and be in a position that is, and your capsule is your collision. So basically if we go to the character, this is your collision. So if we chop your collision in half, like say we take this and we make this 34 or 32, say we make it 44, so that'll be chopping it in half. Look how small that is. So now when your character goes into the animation and their legs change for that animation of sliding, this will be what's making contact with the ground. Your mesh doesn't make any contact with the ground. It doesn't have the ability to make contact with the ground. The mesh is just the mesh. Your collision comes from the actual capsule. Okay, so now if we go back in, now this makes sense. We have to drop that down to 39 to accommodate for the animation. Then we're going to move forward here. It says set world location. So now what we're doing is, it says 50. So it's moving the character to where the animation needs the character to be and making the capsule half height so there's no collision to get in the way, changing that capsule half height. Okay, so then it's taking the mesh of your character, which is here, and getting the location of it, and then it's adding this 50 to it, to the Z only. So if you go to your character, you got your X, Y, and Z. This is your Z. So it's changing your Z value, okay, of your character. Then it's going to play the animation. So we can go here and we can see this montage. So I'm going to play this montage so you can see what I'm talking about. So we're right here in the sentence. See how that has to drop down. So that justifies that your capsule has to be smaller. If your capsule was full size and you change the animation like this, your character legs would be bouncing. The capsule would never let your character go down to the ground, so you'd be sliding in the air. So basically, let me pull that down so you can see it even more. My bad, guys. I guess my mouse and things have a different idea. Alright, so anyways, you can see you going down to the ground, you're sliding down, and that's how the animation is set up. And this is my other character that you have not seen in a while. This is Anya without hair. So she doesn't have her hair on, so you can see her amazing brain there. Spoiler, be something in reference to it in the storyline. Spoiler. Anyway, so that's how you can see how it accommodates for the sliding animation by chopping the capsule down so that your character can fall to this location and not make contact. Now you're going to have a delay of 1 second, which is in reference to the animation itself. I'm sure 1 second probably is fine. If we go here to the animation and you see it here, we can go into the animation, and right here you can change the time format to seconds. And if you look at this animation, it plays for about 1.53 seconds. So after this 1.53 seconds, if we go back to the blueprint here, we have a delay of 1 second. Okay, then it's going to change the capsule back to full size. Remember, our capsule starts at 88, so now it's changing it back. Okay, and it's updating overlap. So what it's doing is updating the collision for the capsule to what environment it's in, so that, hey, when this pops back on, make sure we're making contact with everything around us. Update the overlaps. So this is once again your capsule component here, that it's setting the half height back to normal. Now we're minusing that 50, because here, if you see here in the sentence, we added 50, which was to bring the character down, and then we're going to take that back off. This is exactly the same thing in reverse. We're setting the world location back in reverse, so that the character is now not down low on the ground anymore. Now the character is back at the height that they need to be to stand back up. And then at the end of this sentence, we're just going back and we're resetting this do once. So now it resets and we can fire it again. So that's pretty much how you read a blueprint. That's what I mean by blueprint sentencing, is that you need to make sure that when you're making a blueprint, just make sure that it makes sense. Like, I think of most of the things that I'm doing in my project, I think of them in my head, and then I just make them a reality. Like, if I think them and they make sense, usually what I'm thinking is very close to what's right, what works. So don't be intimidated by a blueprint. Look at it like a sentence. It's kind of being explained right there for you, but a lot of people don't teach it like that. They just teach you to do this and show you images, and if you don't know why you're doing it or you don't know how to read the sentence, then you always going to be asking for help. It's never going to make sense to you. So that's pretty much the basics of how you read a blueprint. Is you just read it like you would read a book or anything else. You start from the point of where you initiate the interaction with the blueprint node. So when you start here and you press the key, that's the beginning of the interaction with this whole entire blueprint setup here. Anything that's in this line, it's like an electrical current. It has to go through this, check everything before it can let the current flow to the next node, and then once again, boom, it has to do this check. If not, all the electrical power is going to stay right here. It's just like electrical switches, and it's not going to let that energy or that power from the electric, when you turn your light switch on, just consider that starting here. When you go here, your light switch has to check to say, hey, if all this ain't happening, you know what I'm saying, if this stuff here is false, then we're not going to turn the light on at all. We're not even going to think about turning the light on. We're just going to stop right here. But if this stuff is true, we're going to move on to the next step. And that's how it just keeps going. It just is a sentence that keeps going in an order, and then it finishes. And at the end, I mean, any blueprint has a beginning and it has an end, and then it has the body of the blueprint, which is basically the words. So that's how you have to look at it. C++, all of this is built the same way. I had to learn that just from experience. I wasn't taught this. This is just me programming, man. One solo dev, man. One project. Amp Capo, man. I thank y'all for stopping by, and that's my little gift or gem to y'all on blueprint sentencing, as I call it, or sentence blueprint reading sentencing, however you want to label it. That's how you read a blueprint from my perspective. One love. Peace out, y'all.